So it's my first time driving a Foxbody, you guys. 5-liter heater, set up as a drift car, and we're gonna go see how it slides. So what started out life as an automatic 4-banger Foxbody has now been transformed into an incredibly robust but budget drift build. This is going to be really exciting. I've never driven a Foxbody, and in the last month we filmed 2 Mustangs and we're about to film another tomorrow. So it's Mustang week here on Roads Untraveled. Let's go for a drive. All right, let's dive into these corners right here. Oh yeah. Woo! There's like a little bit of dead space on center in the steering, a little bit of play, but then after that, like, it just locks in. Like, it is so twitchy and direct once you get into the steering. Like, I can see how this would be a joy to drift. Completely stripped out on the interior here, very loud. There's something that's very freeing about a V8. There's something still, even after driving for 10 years, there's still something like rebellious about a V8, about a carbureted V8 especially, in a stripped out chassis like this. There's just something extra about it that kind of puts it over the edge for me, especially as far as a drift car goes.
Hello, my name is Jared Spurrier. This is my 92 Mustang Foxbody. Not much to say about it, it's just a 5-liter, real simple. It was originally a 4-cylinder car. It had a 2.3 liter in it, 80,000 K, bought it off of Grandpa. And the body was a lot nicer. It was, I wish I didn't do what I did to it. I ruined the car. And I ended up taking it, dailying it for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And then I went down the rabbit hole. I got a Z-Tech, I was gonna swap into it. And then I went to a 5-liter, and from the 5-liter I still have, but I want to swap that now because I'm running out of power. I need more power. I like the power. I like to go fast.
Right off the bat though, it's really easy to drive. As you can see, the steering wheel is like, come on, Jared, it's literally about to fall off. You know what Jared said? You don't feel it while you're driving. You don't feel it while you're driving. And honestly, he's kind of right. Once you're in the corners, you don't really feel it. It's kind of freaky though. This awesome 8-ball shifter here, I guess it's not technically an 8-ball, but it kind of is. Really robust shifter. I don't know what this shifter is. I'm sure Jared will tell you. It feels awesome. It's super short, super notchy. Clutch has a very short travel. He's got this hydraulic e-brake in here. The manual e-brake is gone, and you know, he's going on drift circuits with this thing. It's all about torque. So the car also doesn't have a speedo or a tack, but because it has torque and because it's so loud and like you feel everything vibrating through the chassis, that you can just feel the engine when the torque starts to die off, shift, clutch kick, and like slay yourself into a corner. I don't know, I don't drift, but that seems to me how you would drive something like this at its limit or past its limit. All right, let's dive into some corners. Really takes some muscle to shift, but once you're in, you're in. Tune seems really strong too. It's a really healthy engine. No unexpected hiccups in the revs. small little rub there. Woo! I love this thing. I love this thing. I'm convinced. I kind of want a Foxbody now.
I wanted to run like something like an SR. I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. I wanted a twin cam with a turbo, and I was gonna build that to have a big boost, like retarded amounts of boost, and hoping for like 400 out of a big turbo motor. But so one day I'll probably be taking this motor out and maybe putting in a nicer chassis, and then this I might go back to Z-Tech because this is my first car. I love this car. I love this car a lot. I love to work on it. It's so much better than fuel injected, where like you run into a problem and you could have a million things of what it could be. Like a carburetor, it just works, and it's so cheap. I bought the brand new carb for $300, and that's my computer. You know, like imagine buying a computer for $300. I have an MSD box that I got for $300. So realistically, it was only $600 to make this thing run. And then parts like a camshaft and like the lifters, the springs, like everything to do like a top end on this car, I'm looking at is about $500 US. Like I didn't have to make anything to make this work. The only thing I made was my angle kit.
You know what? All this weight reduction has actually done quite a bit. This does have headers, the cats have been cleared out, and a couple of other minor mods. So, you know, it's got a little bit more pep to it. It's got some power. It's probably under 200 at the wheels though, but it's probably got close to 300 pound-feet of torque at the crank. Or, you know, somewhere between 250 and 300, I'd imagine. And it feels really good. Best of all, it feels healthy. A little bit sideways there. I love this thing already. As janky as this car looks, it's actually really awesome to drive and pretty predictable. The steering is phenomenal. The steering honestly is great, minus this steering wheel right here. It's really good, like it's incredibly direct. And Jared's done a lot of work to the front suspension to achieve that for optimal lock and steering angle and all that stuff on the drift circuit.
It drives amazing as a drift car. It just, like if I ever met someone that wants to get into drifting, I'll never recommend a Mustang. Like the only thing it has is power. It can't turn, it can't do nothing. It can't even go sideways. It runs out of angle. You got 15 degrees factory. Like I had to try to figure out how to make the control arms with a friend. Like he made 2 styles of control arms before we even made mine. He's went through 2 or 3 designs on the spindles before we could get the angle to work without it over centering. And then once we got into angle, the tires were running into frame and the body, so we had to space the control arms forward. Took a lot of time and just over and over and over. And it's like if you had a 240, you could just buy your angle kit. Like I wish I could just buy an angle kit for cheap. Like there's only one other company I know of that can make the stuff I made, but they're charging $1,200 US, and I'm a Canadian. That $1,200 is really bad. And then I got an electric fan because I had a manual fan. And the manual fan, it didn't cool it off as nice as I wanted because it'd overheat when I go downtown. So I put the electric fan in so I could go to Vancouver Auto Show and idle around the streets and like do burnouts in front of the steam clock. And I've yet to get a VI in this thing. That's my claim to fame with this car, there's no VI yet. I've driven it for like 2 years now.
Woo! My good friend Jesse has had an electrical fire that basically destroyed the wiring in his Mini, his Austin Mini, with a Honda swap. And ever since then, like every time I see a dashboard like this, it freaks me out. It freaks me out. Now I actually did own a Windsor 5-liter. For a brief period of time, I had a 91 Grand Marquis, some OG subscribers might remember. And that was, you know, that was a 91. It was fuel injected, but still, the thing I remember about that car was like, it was just so smooth all the time. It never let up on you. It never felt tired. It was always very like, felt like it was at a caffeine rush all the time, even though it only had 130 horsepower. It had like 250 pound-feet. Same principles here with this carbureted 5-liter. It's fast, it's fun, it's easy, simple, smells good. Something alive about this car. I want to drive more Mustangs, more drift cars, more V8s, more raw pieces of entertainment. We could call it that. You guys, stop hating on the Foxbody. It's not fair. It's not fair. Yes, I know it's not the prettiest Mustang. It's really not, but it's not the worst Mustang. It's definitely not the worst Mustang, and it's definitely not the worst looking Mustang either. So I think people need to give the Foxbody a little bit more credit.
I got the engine, tranny, and diff for a case of beer. The engine knocked when I got it, so I pulled it out. I beater ball honed it, and, like took the ridge out. Used forged internals from my buddy's dad's basement that was sitting there for like 20 years. Put it in the motor and $100 in seals, and it was about $80 in bearings for the bottom end of the motor. Everything's budget on this car. There's nothing that you'll see that's brand name, except for my fake Recaro. If I was to start all over again, if I was to go back and like tell myself something, I'd tell myself to buy a BMW or like a 240 or something better that was just buy your basic drift angle kit and just drive the car. Because I lost a lot of driver time with this car on building it. Like, it was parked in my garage for over a year, just building it and trying to make it work with multiple engine swaps and difficult times.
So the differentials out of an SN95 Mustang, he popped a couple welded diffs apparently. So it's got a proper differential in there, so it's perfectly fine driving on the street. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a drift car. My voice is dead. I'm about to cut this video off. But it's still drivable on the street. In terms of like actual driving dynamics, it drives fine. It's not too stiff. It's definitely, I mean, I wouldn't daily this, especially if you want to like actually go on a date with a girl. Definitely wouldn't daily this. But that being said, I don't know, some girls are grimy, maybe they'll like it. Depends who you hang around. That's why you need a car collection, to be honest. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Hit me up on Instagram if you guys want to see kind of day-to-day updates on what we're doing, what we're shooting, a little bit behind the scenes. But other than that, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time.